Welcome to the Kid and Drag Gaming Podcast. This is Kid.
And this is Drag. Remember, if you're enjoying the content, go check us out on our socials. Follow us so we post our latest updates. On Instagram, you can look for us at Kid in Drag. On Facebook, same thing, Kid in Drag. If you're follow us on Twitter, go for Drag Kid In. Also, check out our website at kidindrag.chat. You can find all of our latest episodes. All of our stuff is out there. You can contact us. We can get direct feedback from you and help you get the content you want to hear. Now, let's talk about all the stuff you want to talk about. And today we're here to talk to you a little bit about World War Z. And I don't mean the movie, I mean the game. So World War Z kind of went unnoticed, I think, in a large part when it released. May have had a little hype at the beginning, but as all games, it didn't really catch on. I didn't hear a lot of noise about it right away, but it released in April 16th of 2019. So pretty new build from Saber Interactive Games. So we're going to talk a little bit about this because Kid and I have played a little bit of this here over the past week and a half or so, started to get the feel for it. So Kid, what's your thoughts initially about World War Z?
All right, so World War Z is definitely the game that scratched the itch of Left 4 Dead. So for those of y'all that have played that, it is pretty much like that, but with modern day graphics. So it's the four people running around shooting zombies, going all crazy, getting downed all the time, and Dragon X got to pick me up like always. And it's great.
Baby. Yeah, so I think in that same vein, not just the better graphics, but the rendering engines are amazing. Because I got to say, like when I got to that first real zombie horde, like you're running along and there's large amounts of zombies through the interplay, but then you get down to the boss level or whatnot. It's not that you're like Left 4 Dead had stronger characters here and there, and it might have peppered those in. But when you're in boss level, it's really horde mode. And I am saying there are hundreds, if not thousands of zombies pouring on top of you in the final stages, right? So it's pretty shocking the first time. And you look back at how Left 4 Dead rendered back in the day, either one or two, and there's no way the engine could have handled the sheer amount of stuff going on in your screen at one time. So pretty amazing to see just the engines handle that much volume of moving objects, if you will.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, I mean, with Left 4 Dead, the scale of the map wasn't quite as large as what this one is, and there's thousands of zombies in this one versus Left 4 Dead, where there's 20 on a map at any time. And then if you get boomed on or something like that, then they come pouring in. Where this one, you've got tons and tons of waves of just kind of like the movie, where it's just overwhelming amount of zombies flowing in.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that I see is an overall, it does have some character and weapon progression that really help you out as you go along. But in addition to that, you think about, as Kid mentioned, like you get boomed on in Left 4 Dead and it attracts zombies. Well, that is game rendered, right? So you've got elements in the game that render activities. Well, this game actually it does some of that, but then it also, you kind of have control, because if you run through maps silent on World War Z, you can actually reduce the total amount of damage or total amount of zombies that you're dealing with. So you can make the exact same level, the exact same difficulty, completely different levels of intensity just by running quiet weapons and things like that. So, and that's player attributed. So I think that's pretty cool to give that comparison as well, that if you are super quiet and you've got a cautious group who are working together, you can go through the same level, see, let's say 300 zombies. And if you go there full loud, no silencers and a bunch of heavy weapons, that same map, you're going to see 5,000 zombies.
You
right?
mean just running around with Kid Rolla? Because I'm going to be scaring all them fools up.
Yeah, or the NPCs. Like when you get the non-player characters in there that are helping you out, if you don't have a full team, they will go ahead and pop off some loud rounds sometimes instead of going full silent.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to do full silent, but I guess that'll be a challenge for us one day to see how sneaky we can get through there without getting all crazy with it. So yeah, I'm going to definitely have to try that out. Now, as you progress later on in the game, isn't some of the final levels of the weapon silenced?
Yeah, as you get up there, you spawn with different levels of weapons. Now, that being said, I'll give a plug out to the Epic store to understand. Like right now, the game is on sale for $20. It only has two pieces of purchasable DLC, which actually give you some upgraded weapon packs. But even with both purchases of DLC for the weapon packs, you actually are only spending, I think it's $3 for one and $5 for the other. So you're still under $30 and you get their enhanced weapon packs that will give you some silenced weapons. Then, yes, as you progress through and you build up your weapons, eventually everything becomes silenced as a primary or secondary, even the shotguns, right? And that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I've pretty much been running around with the AR rifle because I can't shoot for crap, so I spray
Mhm.
and pray like a mofo.
Yeah, there is some good elements for that. I mean, you've got some weapons that are really geared for pegging somebody across the map, and for what they call a screamer or whatever the class is that the siren, whatever you want to call it, that makes a loud noise that attracts zombies. You can use your tactical weapons and shoot a little more accurately, or you've got the spray and pray, which just literally hold the button down and start swinging around.
Yeah, so I believe we have like around 18 weapons, and we got the scout rifle, compact SMG, shotgun, pistol, machine pistol, assault rifle, sporting carbine, SMG, combat shotgun, sniper rifle, PDW,
Yeah.
compact shotgun, assault carbine, battle rifle, bullpup rifle, advanced SMG, assault shotgun, and crossbow, machete, grenade launcher, payload rifle, RPG launcher, a machine gun, MGL, assault shotgun, and chainsaw. So those come in three different tiers. Which one of those is your favorite so far?
Yeah, so far I think you've got to, if you look at the gameplay, like you start off with something. It's usually tier 1 when you're first starting the game. You can later enhance in the classes, which we'll talk about in a bit later, where you can start off with a second tier gun or something. But as you work through the level of the map, you want to constantly be upgrading your gun. So if you start with a tier 1 and you love the compact SMG or the pistol or machine pistol, any of these tier 1 things, that's what you're going to start with. But as you pick up loot crates through the game, you want to upgrade to a tier 2, ultimately getting to a tier 3 at the by the time you're dealing with the horde. So you've got a lot more damage, a lot more DPS dealing at that point. So in order of that, um, I honestly, I like the pistol. I want to level up the machine pistol to where it gets silenced, but I like that for running through a quiet round. I have no complaints against that. I frankly run the pistol up until I get to the tier 2. Okay. Tier 2, so far I'm playing the slasher class, which we'll get into a little bit more, but it's more of an upfront. There's a lot of melee involved with that. So I really like the silenced SMG, which you upgrade and get to. So tier 2, I'm going to say SMG for me. Tier 3, it's got to be the advanced SMG, or I do enjoy the crossbow. The crossbow shoots an explosive tipped arrow. It really does good. It kind of subs in for being having grenade launchers and all that kind of stuff, but the ammo is refillable on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was watching you streaming, one thing the zombies do in this game is they pile up on top of each other like a bunch of ants and climb up a wall, kind of like they did in the movie. And when you had that crossbow, it's got the explosive round on it, so it was just popping them in large amounts. So that definitely looked really good to me.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say for the
Yep.
tier one, I don't know, man. I've always been a shotgun fan. In this game, the shotgun does work well. But like I said, watching you with the pistol, man, it seemed to be pretty devastating if you can aim, which I can't,
Mhm.
which is another reason why I like that shotgun. Tier two, I would have to go with the assault rifle, man. I've always loved those in games.
Mhm. And if you're looking at, that's the thing to keep in consideration. If you buy the DLC or you advance the level of your shotgun, like I said, you can ultimately get to a silent shotgun, and that thing's pretty deadly. So you can get through the first levels. It really does good against the larger special infected, like the bulls, the screamers, if you're up close, or if you're dealing with one of the hunters. I think they call them lurkers. They call them a few different things in the game, but it reminds you of a hunter from Left 4 Dead. But the silence weapons are where it's at. That's eventually what you're going to build to with each of the weapons that you like. So keep in mind to level. the weapons, you have to use that weapon over and over again. So sometimes you're going to have to use a crappier weapon, even if you've got, say, you've got the battle rifle advanced and you want to switch to the SMG, you're going to have to use that SMG over and over to level the XP so you can upgrade it and eventually get it to silenced. Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing I do love about this game is that RPG element that
Mhm.
always drives me to games is anytime there's that element where you level stuff up, especially when it's individually like that, it usually
Mhm.
hooks me and keeps me playing it for quite a while.
Right, because you eventually have to build your class out, right? So when I say these are my favorite weapons, this is largely because I've been playing with the slasher class. The slasher being a melee oriented class. Well, that crossbow works really well because it's a little slow firing. It's more of a ranged weapon to decimate hordes. Well, that's no good for you when something gets up close and in your face. So I've played other classes with the crossbow, and I didn't like it as much because I couldn't melee and kill all the zombies up close to me nearly like I could with the slasher class. So it's really kind of class dependent and playstyle dependent on what you're going to ultimately go with in your weapons and what you're going to level up.
So when you talk about the melee, we're talking about the machete here, and where this excels over a lot of games is it auto targets the zombies that are next to you. So if you're not facing them and you hit it, it'll turn around and pop them, which you've got to you can't just spray and pray all the time. That hack and slash is a huge element in this game.
It really is because you think about like these, it does have this tower defense element, which we haven't hit on yet, that you kind of collect these special weapons that are like a 50 cal turret that you can man. It's got an auto turret, which is unmanned that will shoot stuff off for you. You've got barbed wire, you've got electrified fences, things that you can drop down to help you get through these massive hordes. Well, if you've got somebody, just imagine you got thousands of zombies on you. You put somebody on a 50 cal, well, they're locked into that and you're on a platform. Well, those zombies eventually get up on the platform. So having somebody alongside you that's going to melee some of these things off is a huge help. It's a way to clear off your immediate area while people are running bigger guns and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I couldn't tell you how many times I'm like, oh crap, I need to start meleeing, and it's over. I'm dead.
Mhm. Yep. And that's what the thing is about it being so intense. You got to be somewhat tactical about this as you get into the advanced levels, right? I mean, when you're on level 2 of 6, it's pretty freaking intense when you start. Like, it's hard to keep up, and I'll be honest, I've failed numerous missions with a full team just because it's so overwhelming if you don't have your defenses laid out correctly or you're not able to recover in time or somebody in a key spot gets knocked down, you're screwed. You lose the whole round.
Yeah. So up next, we've got the classes. We've got a gunslinger, hellraiser, medic, fixer, slasher, and exterminator. Which one of these is your favorite?
Well, for me, I mean, it's slasher without a doubt. I had an unfortunate incident. I'll put the warning out there that I leveled up my slasher all the way, started on another class, and I hit a button when Epic decided to update. It said, "Do you want to update from your computer or from the cloud?" Because they're out of sync. Well, I updated from the cloud and reset my whole progress.
Oh
So,
no. Oh,
forewarned about that. So I was like, okay, well, I'm on a different deal. I'm going to try another class or whatnot. And I tried the medic and the fixer. And immediately I started missing the slasher because now I figured out that's where I like to be. I enjoy it. All the progression leans towards better melee, and that's all my swag. Like it is exactly where I want to play.
yeah. I would say Hellraiser's probably mine, but hearing about the slasher and how I'm always getting overwhelmed because I can't shoot, maybe I should go to the slasher class.
Yeah. And that's, on the classes, this is really kind of interesting. So your gunslinger, and it makes a difference like what you start with, right? So your gunner, let's starts off with the sporting carbine. And what's cool is as you level them up, you start getting class attributes, right? Like most RPG type games, you start leveling up these class attributes. Well, when you look at the gunslinger, as you get through levels, basically, or not just the gunslinger, any class. Let me back up. So there's three master groups that you level up, and you get a fourth unlock after you get through these massive or these master groups. Each one of those basically has 9 options that you can level up and choose what specialties you want to add. Of those 9, you can only pick 3 active at one time. So you can unlock and purchase as many as you want, but you can only have 3 active per class, so that's gonna give you 9 attributes plus your 4 main attributes on any character. Each one of those, like Kid was saying about the RPG element, like, you can really specify, like in the slasher, I don't pick the top tier or the latest unlock or anything. I pick the ones that I like. So, as an example, my build right now with my slasher is it takes 12 zombies to lock me or pin me down instead of 8. And that was an advancement I bought. The second one, it increased my stun gun range and a larger radius. And then the third one is bullet dodger. So I take 100% less friendly fire while I'm in melee attacks. So if I jump up in a horde, somebody shoots at me, hits me with friendly fire, it damages me less. So you've got all these different options. And I would say if you're just starting, like stop. It doesn't matter what class you are, but stop and scan through and figure out what your build is going to be before you start building.
Yeah, that's been my problem. I hadn't done that yet. I just kind of jumped in running. I hadn't played a whole lot, but I wouldn't call it friendly fire. I would call it kid roll of fire.
That's right. Get a little kid roll of fire to watch out for. But I mean, realistically, in the game, you're going down a lot of tunnels, you're going down a lot of specified areas that you need to fire towards, and you got 4 players. So it happens quite a bit that you got 2 in the back and 2 in the front. That friendly fire is a real thing. And as you get in the more difficult levels, the friendly fire is enhanced.
Oh no, we don't need none
Right.
of that.
Right. And that's just generally what I would say about any of the classes. But slasher's definitely my swag, but definitely look through and purchase it in the right order, especially with your first character. Because like me, I just started buying every class. I started buying every enhancement. Then I realized after I bought everything, like, oh, I can only have 3 of these active at one time and feel like, oh, I wasted a bunch of my gold, which is the in-game currency you get as you complete levels to purchase these things, right?
Yeah, the RPG element of it really is in depth between the guns and then the attributes and elements that you can get in the game. Like it is pretty crazy. And like you said, I need to get in there and just read them all. But there's so many guns, man. It's going to take a while, but in the end, it'll be worth it.
It is. And I think also as you're building your essential play style that you want to do, you've got to kind of match it with the people you're playing with because you don't want to jump in a match with 3 other slashers and be running slasher, right? Because then you're not going to have anybody with really good grenades or ranged weapons, and that can really harm you throughout the more difficult matches.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's since there's 4 players, there's got to be some kind of element where you've got to have those specific classes. So definitely I want to pick 2 of them and level up. That way, if somebody's not on, I can help fill that void.
Yeah, and the other thing too to be thinking about the classes, I call it a prestige level. So once you hit level 30, so you're just starting a game, you pick a class, you run with it. Once you hit level 30, that's the max that you can do for that character. Okay, you can't exceed that. You're not going to get any more class attributes added. You're going to have everything unlocked for that one class. Well, you can still upgrade the guns, but the class isn't going to change. So to get to level 31, you've got to change classes and start leveling those up. So the game is kind of geared that you get all classes eventually. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but I would say, 100% my recommendation when you first start, read through the attributes, figure out which one's going to work for you, take that class and level it all up because that way you're going to be able to play competitively with anybody that jumps on. And frankly, it's only going to take you maybe 5 to 10 hours of gameplay to get one class maxed out.
Right. So on here we have playable maps. We've got Moscow, New York, Jerusalem, and Tokyo.
Mhm.
Which one is your favorite?
That's a tough one. I think it's just a nostalgia thing with New York because when you start on a roof where you break down the door and you start going down the stairs, work your way through an elevator, and get down to the ground floor. And that's so reminiscent of Left 4 Dead. I've really been stuck on New York being one of my favorite ones.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it kind of has that I am legend feel to it as well that it pops
Mhm.
in my head when playing it.
Yep. So I think that's pretty cool. What about yours?
I would probably have to say New York or Moscow just because in the snow I can see everything a lot easier.
Yep. Yeah, for in all things considered, like, I really like some of the Tokyo, views too. It's got a, section on I think it's the 2nd map or the 3rd map that you're actually playing through a cruise ship, and it's really neat because it's like you're very close quarter combat, you're going moving room to room. It kinda has a different feel to it.
Yeah, this game's great though, man. I'm definitely glad that they made this because how long's it been since Left 4 Dead 2 come out?
Oh my lord, it's so long ago. Like, I did re-download it the other day.
You know, we've always talked about why in the world do they not make a 3 or why is there not a clone out? And you know, these guys really did meet expectations and excel it by a tremendous amount with all the traps. You
Mhm,
know, way more guns. You know, the zombies, the AI in it's really good too as well. It's
mhm.
not wonky or anything.
Yeah, I feel really comfortable. I'm not a big fan of the NPCs, but I do enjoy the combat, with the AI in the enemies. They're pretty good. And to answer your earlier question, it's been 10 years ago in November when Left 4 Dead 2 hit the
Holy
shelf.
crap, man, that's incredible. So
Yep.
maybe this game will take off as it
Mhm.
should, and then maybe they'll come back and be like, guess what? Left for Dead 3.
Yeah, I would highly recommend anybody get on and dump 20 bucks for this game. It is definitely worth it. I mean, I've probably got north of 100 hours in it in the first week and a half since I bought it, and I'm not regretting at all.
So
The
within that
other cool thing go ahead.
so within that 100 hours, what level have you hit?
Oh, well, I reset. So
Hmm,
I hit level 40 and then reset, and I'm now back up to level I think 21.
okay, yeah. I'm level 4 right now. I hadn't got on
Yeah,
there a whole lot, but man, just in that 4 levels, just upgrading a few things have made a big difference. I can't imagine being in game in this.
yeah. And you think about ultimately, like you look at all these components, right? 20 bucks for the game right now. I know it's on sale. I bought the DLC for another 8 bucks or whatever. But then we haven't even talked about the PvP aspect of it.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah. I was on there earlier and playing capture the flag, and that was pretty fun, man. And
mhm.
what is it? Is it 4 against 4, or is it more than that?
I think it's 4v4, and then you count it just depends on which map you go to, but I think it's all 4v4. I could be wrong on that. That's just what I've looked at quickly looking at that. However, that's a whole nother thing to confuse what we've talked about because up to this point we've talked about co-op. When you go to the PvP, there's a whole nother set of classes. You've got survivor, trapper, specialist, warfighter, phantom, demolisher, striker, support, assassin, and shadow, which all come with their own weapons. Now, I will tell you, if you're really comfortable playing the things like Fortnite, Call of Duty, PUBG, this is not like that. You're not going to get like a two-shot kill on a player or a one-shot headshot. Like they're bullet sponges. You'll empty half a clip into somebody before they fall down.
Yeah.
So it is kind of fun for the play. But I know one mode that has just recently been released with the horde mode. Basically, you're basically playing the game and there's a live horde going on while you're playing PvP. So you gotta kind of stop and knock the horde off of you or knock it down or kill the horde while you're still hunting other people.
Yeah, they
So
got
that's
that
pretty
full
crazy.
effect.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. So it's definitely a different tactic on the PvP side, but it is a fun play. It's not quite. I don't know that I would get as crazy competitive with that as like a Fortnite because you will get frustrated having shooting somebody 45 times and watching they don't fall down. That's kind of a problem.
And also, you gotta all your levels and stuff are back to 0 in PvP, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you gotta start all over, which is fine. You know, it keeps everybody playing, I guess.
Yeah. So overall, I'm going to give this game a 2 thumbs up. There will be future episodes about this game as we kind of play through. Make sure you tune in to myself or Kid Rolla on Twitch. You can shoot us over a note. We'd love to play with any of the viewers out there. We are streaming this pretty regularly, and I've got a couple other teammates that we play with that also stream. So feel free to hit us up either on Instagram, Facebook, any of our medias, and we'll jump in a game together.
And if you're an OG of World War Z and have been playing this game for a long time, we would love to have you on the podcast and pick your brain a little bit on your game thoughts and what you'd like to see changed or implemented in the game for a future podcast.
And for that, we're going to wrap up episode 1 on World War Z. I hope you enjoyed tuning in, giving a listen, and make sure you follow us on all our socials, and we will holla at you next time.
Later.
And that's all we got to talk about today, folks. This is Drag.
And this is Kid. If you enjoyed our cast, make sure and check out our website, follow our socials. We love feedback. You give it, we'll talk about it.
You can find us at kidindrag.chat on our website. For Twitter, it's dragkidin. For Instagram, it is Kid and Drag. Same for Facebook, Kid and Drag. We take feedback on all of those social platforms, and we'll see you next time.
Later.